This man was the jury foreman who led deliberations that found this woman not guilty just the other day. Her name is K1lled, and the state of Massachusetts had put her on trial not once, but twice. And if you're someone that gets worried about how much power the police have and how they can frame people, well, this is a classic case.
We are expected to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say K1lled was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
Murder of her boyfriend happened in a city called Canton in Norfolk County, Massachusetts. Norfolk County, Massachusetts is the richest county in Massachusetts. And in that same little city of Canton, just a year before her boyfriend was killed and she was charged with doing it, this girl, who was 24 years old, she was homicided. Now, initially, the police ruled her homicide a self-you-know-what, but now this cop has been charged with her homicide. So what's going on here?
In early 2021, Sandra Birchmore was a 23-year-old mom-to-be who was over the moon, as a family member put it, about the child that she had just conceived with her boyfriend. She was planning to tell the world in a social media post on Valentine's Day, but she never did. Because 10 days before Valentine's Day, on February 4th, Sandra Birchmore was found dead on the floor of her Canton, Massachusetts apartment with a luggage strap cinched around her neck and the other end tied to a doorknob. Authorities called the death self-inflicted. But Sandra's family said hardly. And investigators soon uncovered that her short life was filled with red flags from the age of 12. That's when Sandra joined a youth program run by the police in the neighboring town of Stoughton, Massachusetts. That's where she met an instructor cop named Matthew Farwell, who allegedly groomed Sandra and abused her for at least 8 years.
Thankfully, we had a jury that saw right through it all. But so the K1lled case, if you didn't hear about it, was really famous. It's, unless you're watching a fake TV show like Law & Order, it's actually pretty rare that white suburban women at least get charged with murder. They may well commit many, who knows. But K1lled was she a teacher. She had some kind of like white-collar job, college graduate, and she was dating a cop. I don't know, was he a Boston cop? Just like a cop from that area. Norfolk is like suburban Boston. So one night, they're out drinking, not like crazy. They're just at some bars doing regular stuff. And they were in a serious relationship. And they bump into some other cops. And I tell you, cops, like off-duty police, I never liked being around off-duty police. They have way too much power. That's not to say, I mean, most of them are fine. But if they got a dark side, you definitely don't want to tangle with it because it's going to be hard for you to win, obviously. So anyways, they bump into some other cops he knows, and they invite him over. So K1lled, his girlfriend, drops him off.
Sir, I asked one of your other fellow jurors this question. There's a very fine distinction. In your opinion, is K1lled innocent? She didn't do this? Or is it just that the prosecutors did not put on enough evidence to convict?
K1lled is innocent, and she didn't do this crime. No one could prove that she did this crime, so I looked at her from day one as an innocent woman that needed to be proven guilty.
You can read about, there's a bunch of long articles. I'm just trying to give you a summary because this is really about how I like to cover this police. Not just corruption, but this is worse than corruption would be police getting paid off. This is actual criminal police killing these two, killing a man and killing a woman and covering up and trying to frame others. And it's important that we watchdog the police. So K1lled drops him off. something happens in the house. She returns to pick him up, and he's laying dead in the snow. And she's led to believe, initially by investigators, that she accidentally backed up into him. Now, mind you, they had been drinking, so technically she wasn't like slosh drunk, but it's not hard to be over the legal limit. So they end up charging her with like a drunk driving murder, and she's going to get a bunch of time. But the case is weird, and a lot of evidence points to that something went on between her boyfriend, this cop, and these other cops down in that basement of the house where she dropped him off to continue drinking. Like they got into a fight, and they beat him up, and he died. Probably, I doubt if they beat him to death on purpose, but adults, as well, I always tell adults, adult men playing around with that fighting stuff, be careful. Like, someone can die by accident. Little kids or 12-year-old boys can fight, but once you start being 160, 180, 220 pounds, you could fall and hit your head. I punch you, you fall, hit your head on the corner of a table and be dead. Seen it happen. The people that I saw get hurt the worst in jail was those fights in those little cells where someone hits himself. I think once we thought someone died, but he woke up and he was all right, but you hit yourself. So something went on with all these cops. And there's a lot of reporting about it. Again, if you're interested, you can look up the K1lled case and read about it. But long story short, they framed her. They put her on trial the first time. So, if they'll frame her, this is we think of, if the police are going to do something shady, it's not to white women, but they'll do anything to anybody, if it's what's needed. Anybody can get it, ABG. And in this case, K1lled, so she went on trial the first time, and it was very, very fishy. So they got a hung jury. They tried her again, but this time they found her not guilty. Now, here's what the jury foreman had to say. So he wants there to be an FBI investigation. And remember, I mentioned in the beginning another girl there in Canton that died, where they said she did it to herself. And now there's a cop charging her death. Well, that girl was, I guess she was from maybe not the greatest home environment. She was introduced to like police services, sort of through some social workers, like mentorship or something. So at the age of 12, some of the cops started having sex with her. Lovely. So these are the same cops in Canton, in Norfolk County, Massachusetts. So a lot of the same cops involved in the framing of K1lled are involved in this homicide of this girl. She was 23 when when they strung her up and tried to make it look like she did it to herself. She was preggers with she thought with one of the cops' babies. It turned out to be with somebody else.
I'm out of time, but I just wanted to read this. In February, Farwell describes pinning Birchmore down during sex and asking her, "Will you say, Matt, stop, I'm 13. And then the FBI investigator said he'd reviewed a lot of other texts where Farwell had instructed Birchmore to act as though her brother were coming in to have sex with her. Just
that cop has now been charged with homicide himself. So the state of Massachusetts has kind of a unique, the way their legal system is set up. Remember, that's like the oldest, Massachusetts probably is the oldest governmental system in America, I guess, right? The Pilgrims. The state police, if you guys saw the movie The Departed, the state police work closely with the prosecutors, which I don't think in any other jurisdiction. Like, basically, police are supposed to gather info, say, hey, we arrested this guy or this woman, here's the information, and then the prosecutors take it from there. But the police are intimately involved in the whole process in Massachusetts, which is, of course, very dangerous because if they did something shady, it gives them the power to guide and direct the investigation. So, pretty spooky, pretty scary, but not hilarious. I got pulled over. I've been pulled over twice recently. I think because in LA they're just pulling people over and just see you like an illegal alien or something. And it reminded me, even just getting pulled over in a traffic thing when you haven't done anything and there's nothing going to happen to you other than to get some little ticket at worst. They're pretty aggressive. Like, it can really go side. If you don't watch how you talk to them, it can go sideways. And in the case of Karen Reed, she woke up to be getting framed for murder by a group of police. How scary. And I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't for the fact that there was already the federal investigation into that other girl's death where the feds and everybody knew like something was wrong with this Canton and Norfolk sheriffs and police. Who knows? She might have got railroaded to the end. There are innocent people in prison. So, I mean, not to be funny, but like if they can do it to the suburban mainstream, work a nice job, went to college, upstanding citizen, suburban white women. I mean, you can imagine the type of stuff they do to everybody else.
If she didn't do it, who did?
That's not my job. So, I mean, something did happen to Mr. O'Keefe, and it's foul play or whatever you want to say, but there was no evidence to even through multiple witnesses and testimony by his autopsy and everything. There was still no one said to solid evidence that there was a collision or he got hit by a car.
So you don't think she actually hit him with the
everybody.
You don't think she hit him with the car at all?
No, go ahead.
You don't think she hit him with the car at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah, police are pretty frightening, and this is one of the. I'm not like I'm not an anti-police person, but there needs to be always the community's got to keep their eyes on the cops because they have so much power. We give them a lot of power. Now they deal with our own family members and stuff we don't want to deal with. Crackhead Uncle Eddie that we don't let in the house, so he's outside smoking and stealing, etc. There's a man with a gun outside here hiding under the couch calling 911. Police do have a hard and important job, but they get given a lot of damn power. And always remember, it's our jobs as citizens not to harass the police, but keep an eye on them. Because absolute power corrupts absolutely, and they have a lot of power, and if nobody is keeping tabs on them, if they don't think anyone's looking, even if they just get out of control just because sometimes in life it's like if you leave kids, there's a reason adults don't want to leave their kids home alone too much. They end up getting into some type of mischief. And in the case of Karen Reed, the cops' mischief, they beat her boyfriend to death, tried to frame her for the case. And then this other little girl that got a hold to her when she was 12. And when she started making noise about what happened, and it was going to bring down, who knows what. I mean, a bunch of cops having sex with 12, 13, 14-year-old girls is pretty damn bad. Get you sent to prison. They put a belt around her and tried to make it look like she did it to herself. How dark is that? So, don't be anti-police, but let them know they got eyes on them. Because like everybody else, they must be watched. We all have to be each other's keeper. Our prophet, America dope. Free Karen Reed till it's backwards. Now Karen Reed's free.